Thank you very much for coming tonight. A warm welcome to the Lake School and a very special welcome to our 60th anniversary. I know what lots of you are thinking. Who are you? You're not Judge Rinder. We'll get the jokes in early. My name's Luke. See me as your cruise director for the night. I'll make sure lots of things run smoothly in the background. A word of warning before we begin. Tonight will be a roller coaster of emotions. We've got a great evening in store for you, and hopefully it's one that makes you very proud of your school and community. Now, unfortunately, Tim Farron, who is a great supporter of the school, couldn't be with us tonight, but he has sent over this very special video message to get us started.
I'm gutted not to be with you this evening. I'm recording this a few days beforehand, but on the evening in question of your great celebration of the 60th anniversary of the foundation of the Lake School, I will be stuck in Westminster doing something a lot less interesting than being with you. So look, thank you very much for everything you have achieved as a school over the 60 years of your existence. To all those who've led the school, taught there, worked there in a myriad of different capacities, those thousands of people, once upon a time young people, who have had their lives begun, formed, shaped by those times at the Lake School. Those who study there now, those who study in the future. The communities from, Staveley up to Grasmere and all points in between and beyond, for which the Lake School is the centre of the community. It is the local school. It's a school where everybody knows your name, with a real community feel and an absolute commitment to excellence and people being developed, people becoming the best that they could possibly be. 60 years in some senses is not that long a time in the history of a school, but it's longer than I've been alive, therefore that's a very long time. And it's also true to say that the school didn't come about from nothing. There's a great heritage there that the Lake School has built upon. It's worth bearing in mind that being opened by Sir Anthony Crosland, then the Education Secretary, he then went on to become the Foreign Secretary a few years later, and I suspect if he'd lived, he would have potentially gone on to become Prime Minister, an important man who opened an important school with a really important heritage. And as we celebrate 60 years of the Lake School, we also know it's 80 years too since the arrival of the Windermere children, whose story is intrinsic to the Lake School story as well. A story of young people arriving from hideous experiences and then experiencing the love and compassion and the welcome of the people from the communities that the Lake School is at the centre of. And so the kind of society that welcomed the Windermere children is the society that underpinned the Lake School today. If you want to know what the people of our community are like, what's our character, well, just look to how you greeted those children back in 1945, and that's the society that we are part of, that society we are proud of. So as we look forward to 60 proud years, or look back at 60 proud years of the Lake School, we look forward to a future which should be equally proud. The potential for a school on this site that will grow, improve, be a welcome home to thousands of young people in the future, and be a place where teachers can make and build their careers, developing those young people to be the best they can be in the future. So we're proud of the heritage of the Lake School. We're proud of the children who came in 1945, and we're, if you like, the founding fathers of the school that we're now so proud of. We're excited about the future though as well. Lots to be proud of, lots to be excited about in the future. Have a wonderful night. You deserve to celebrate. I hope you do.
Ladies and gents, it's my absolute honour and probably the moment you've been waiting for all night. Please welcome to the stage Rob Rinder, MBE.
What a sublime turnout, what a gift, and above all else, what a privilege to be here. It is a true gift. You're 60 years of the Lake School. I mean, I have to say that is an incredible milestone. There's not many institutions that can say they've survived 6 decades of teenage hormones, missing homework, and of course the smell of wet PE kit. But it's a gift to be here, friends, family in this community, which I say in the truest and most profound sense, because of what else this place means to me, to us, to this community, to all of us. When we talk about the Holocaust, people often ask me and others, how could anybody go on afterwards? And the truth is, there is an answer to that question. Most of them didn't know if they could. After the war ended, 300 young survivors were brought here to the Lake District. And as many, if not all of you know, they became known as the Windermere Boys. And my grandfather, Morris, was one of them. He arrived with nothing. No family, no home, no language for what he'd been through. He'd spent his teenage years surviving the worst things human beings can do to one another. And then he found himself standing in a place so beautiful he could hardly believe it was real. When I asked him, one of the few memories he would share was Windermere. Paradise, he called it. Here at Calgarth, the old RAF site near Windermere, those boys were given food, warmth, and care. But what truly healed them wasn't the bread or blankets. It was the kindness, the teachers, the nurses, volunteers, people who'd never met a Jew before, looked into the eyes of these boys and girls and didn't see victims. They saw possibilities. They taught them English, yes, but also how to laugh again, how to play football, how to sing. And one of the teachers said they arrived looking like ghosts, and within weeks, they were shouting, joking. They were living again. One survivor told me, in the camps, they took away our names. In Windermere, we got them back. Of course, the Calgarth estate wasn't just a place to stay. It was a promise that even after unspeakable darkness, people could still choose to do good, that decency could triumph over despair. It was and remains Britain at its very best, saying without fanfare that we will never let cruelty have the last word. And what came next? What came next was astonishing. These boys didn't just survive, they lived. They built families, they started businesses, raised children, became grandparents, great-grandparents, neighbors, and beloved friends. They proved the fundamental human truth that we all share, that joy itself can be an act of courage. And it's that spirit, the spirit of courage, of kindness, and of rebuilding that lives on here in this school. Because of where this school is and the community it's part of, people who've passed through these halls have gone on to make extraordinary contributions, as we'll hear tonight, in science, in the arts, in sports, carrying a little piece of Windermere's light into our shared world. 60 years of the Lake School means 6 decades of learning, of laughter, of muddy boots and soggy uniform, and in true Cumbrian fashion, pretending the rain is just a bit of mist. Yeah. And friends, I told pupils earlier this morning that the Lake School isn't simply a place where you learn to pass exams. It's where you learn to become the type of person who shows up for others, regardless of who they are, regardless of where they're from. A person who does the right thing when nobody's looking. That's the same spirit, the same ethos that healed my grandfather and his friends here in Windermere 80 years ago. Now, when I walk around this place, despite making documentaries for the first time in my life today, I still feel that same goodness in the air. It's not perfect, it's not loud, but it's decent, and it's brave, and it's full of heart. And I think this is what courage looks like. It's not the absence of fear, but the decision to go on loving in spite of it. And tonight, being here with all of you feels like a sort of beautiful circle closing. To stand on this ground in this community, surrounded by all of you, by people who still believe with every vestige of your humanity in kindness and learning. That is profoundly and deeply special to all of us. It feels, in a quiet way today, like coming home. And before I finish, a few things, but I want to thank the school head, all of the teachers in the school, and everybody who's made tonight possible. But perhaps especially Luke, who at just less than half the age of this school, at 25, has poured his heart, care, and vision into making this celebration what it is. He embodies the same spirit that those first volunteers at Calgarth showed. That instinct that Windermere, that the lakes that Cumbria has, the instinct to help, to build, and to give. If we were giving out medals, planting trees for the righteous tonight, Luke, your name would be on the list. So tonight, as we celebrate 60 years of this remarkable school, let's remember that we're all part of that same legacy of teachers and of neighbors who believed in healing, who continue to believe in community, in the power, the limitless power of compassion. And perhaps as we look to the future, we can imagine a new school one day, built on the same values that healed those boys: courage, decency, and hope. And I certainly would not be standing here without them. But friends, amongst us, we have a special gift tonight. Those who we commemorate, those who stood on this ground 80 years ago, who were gifted the beginnings of a breath of life that they would go on to breathe into their shared community. One in particular, who is 97 years young, who remembers arriving on this earth, in this place. I asked him earlier, what was it like? Did it look the same outside? Yes, it did. My friends, amongst us is Arik Hirsch, Holocaust survivor and boy. Arik, if you could please stand up. Arik, stay standing if you don't mind. I said earlier about, if you're able to, the gift of what this place managed to help, to assist, to create into our shared world. I'm the smallest of small parts of it. We have Arik and his daughter and a number of those whose mums and dads were in this place. If you are a second generation survivor, please stand up. Thank you so much. And they've come from across the country, from London, from Manchester, and even from the state of Israel tonight to be here. Because the truth is, I wouldn't be standing here without the people that gifted everything to this school. And neither would this school, because the Lake School stands quietly on ground where hope was rebuilt. And that, to me, I hope, and I'm sure to each and every one of you, is sacred ground. So tonight, let's raise our hearts, our memories, and maybe even later a glass to the boys, the children, boys and girls who came here broken, to the people who healed them, and to all of you in this school who keep that light burning. And now to capture just a little bit of that same spirit of music, of beauty, of courage made real, please join me in welcoming our wonderful alumni vocalist, Marcella Niels, joined by Leo on the piano.
Hello. This is Signora Dance by Indila. Thank you.
Amis de souffrance, pourquoi ce chant et tout commence? Je suis connected to sounds importance. So oui, je suis un peu gênée, un peu ça dans le trou. Un bien danse pour oublier ma peine immense. Je m'offre que tout commence. Où mes douces souffrances. Jour le ciel et jour la nuit, je danserai. Chanel ton absence et de mon frito tu me dis des gars, des corps que privé de sens. J'en mieux ciel et je avec le monde. Je danse, 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 danse. Et d'où je cours. Just be the enough on do on the show. Je danserai. Et d'où je cours.
Bravo. Give it up for the amazing Marcella, everybody. Wow. Incredible. And, you know, in Cumbria, as they say, bravo en français aussi, pretty impressive. Incredible. Friends, please join me now in welcoming Sharon Rainey, head teacher of the Lake School.
Well, I'm not quite sure how I follow on from that. That was amazing. Good evening to you all. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to this really special occasion, the 60th anniversary of the Lake School. I have to do a little boring bit, first of all, sorry. Well, the whole speech might be boring, I apologise in advance. But housekeeping point of view, I just need to say that we have no fire alarm planned tonight. So if the fire alarm goes off, please make your way to the nearest fire exit, one of which is here, there's one at the back, and one through the canteen. And there are staff there who will show you out to the muster point, which is at the side entrance at the car park. So just to let you know that. So 60 years, can't quite believe that the school's been here for 60 years, but 60 years, and as Rob has said, 6 decades of learning and laughter, and also of lasting memories. That has been a lot of assemblies, a lot of lessons, and certainly a lot of homework along the way, with maybe even a few detentions thrown in there. But tonight we're celebrating not just the passing of time, but the incredible sense of community that has grown and flourished here since 1965. We're joined tonight by alumni whose journeys began in these very classrooms, by families who continue to support and believe in the school, and by leaders and partners across the country who stand alongside us in shaping the school's future. Most profoundly, we at the Lake School are really honoured to welcome one of the Windermere children, Arik Hirsch, MBE, whose story is forever woven into the very ground upon which our school stands. This evening, we're truly privileged to be joined by Arik and members of the families connected to the Windermere children. Your presence here reminds us that this school has always been about more than just simple bricks and mortar. It's a living, breathing community and a beacon of hope and endurance, and we thank you for coming tonight. I personally feel incredibly fortunate to have been a part of this community for the past 25 years, and even more honoured to have served as head teacher for the last 3. Walking these corridors each day reminds me that education is about far more than just lessons and exams. It's about shaping young people to be resilient, creative, and compassionate individuals, carrying forward the values of community and collaboration that epitomise the Lake School. That spirit shines through in the achievements of our alumni, the dedication of our staff, and the determination of our students today. When the Lake School first opened its doors, the world was a very different place. The classrooms may have looked, well, they may have looked a bit different, but some of you have gone round tonight, so they probably look quite the same. The technology was certainly different, and I suspect some of the hairstyles may have been a little bit bolder than they are today. Yet, even then, the spirit that defines this school, a spirit of inclusion, respect, and opportunity, was already alive and kicking. Over the past 6 decades, thousands of students have passed through this hall, each one leaving their mark. Some have gone on to remarkable achievements in their fields, and others have stayed closer to home, contributing quietly but significantly to our local community. Each one is a valuable part of our story, and each one helps to make this school the place that it is today. And so the story continues. The Lake School continues to stand stronger than ever. Our students continue to impress with their curiosity, creativity, and compassion. Our teachers, past and present, continue to give their all to ensure that learning here remains truly aspirational. We're proud of our results, yes, but actually we're even prouder of the people our pupils grow into. Every success and every failure, every triumph enjoyed, and every challenge overcome. Every thought spent on others and every act of kindness for these are the true measures of our school's success. As we reflect on the past, we also look to the future with pride and optimism. With your continued support, together we can ensure the Lake School endures as a place where every young person belongs, thrives, and discovers the very best of themselves. 60 years young, yet full of promise, the Lake School legacy continues to grow, building on the strong foundations of the past to shape an even brighter future. So tonight, we're celebrating 60 years of achievement, of effort and friendship. Let's take a moment to remember all of those who have been a part of this memorable journey and to look forward to all of those yet to come. If I had a glass, I would raise it and say, here's to our students, past, present and future. Here's to our staff whose dedication makes everything possible. Here's to our alumni and families who have walked this journey with us. And here's to the Lake School, 60 years strong and continuing to improve for generations to come. Thank you all for coming tonight, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this evening. Thank you.
The land we stand on today was once part of the Calgarth Hall estate, built in the 16th century for the Bishop of the Llandaff. The estate stretched over 156 acres.
In 1940, during the Second World War, German bombers were attacking Rochester. To keep aircraft safe, the Ministry of Aircraft Production moved some of the flying boat production to a new location. They chose Windermere because it had the wide waters needed for takeoff and was hidden away in the Lake District.
When the Short Brothers Company came to Windermere, some skilled workers moved here too. At first they stayed with the local families, but in 1941, new houses were built on the Calgarth estate, 200 for families and hostels for 300 single workers.
By 1941, the factory was up and running. At its busiest in 1942, it employed over 1,500 people, almost half of them local workers who had never built aircraft before. They were trained by experts from around the country.
By the end of 1942, Calgarth was a complete community. It had a primary school, shops, a canteen, an assembly hall, a clubhouse, a laundry, a sick bay, even a football team. It was more than a factory, it was a village.
In June 1945, when the war was over, the 600 workers were given just 1 month's notice. The land was returned to its owner, Mayor Headley, and the factory site fell silent.
But Calgarth's story didn't end there. As Europe celebrated peace, a man called Leonard Montefiore believed every young person deserved the chance to thrive. He persuaded the government to bring 1,000 orphan child Holocaust survivors to Britain. In 1945, 300 of them came here, to Windermere, to begin rebuilding their lives.
For months, not much time to bring them back to civilization. None of us can imagine what they went through in their short lives.
Welcome!
Welcome to Windermere.
Jak myślisz? Kolejna selekcja? Hej, jesteśmy w Anglii. Hej, ostatnio jak sprawdzałem, to wciąż jesteśmy Żydy.
Die Nazis sind besiegt. Es wird dich ja keiner rauszerren.
My name is Jock Lawrence, And you?
Bessie Ben 608.
Are you aware of what these children have been through?
Kiedy ostatni raz widziałeś taki chleb? Poza snami.
More bread! Let him see it will never run out.
I am son of Moshe Helfgott, shot running away from Death March.
Wszyscy wiemy, jak dziewczyny w obozach sobie radziły.
Eventually, when your strength is fully restored, you will build a new life.
Ciuchy!
Do rychłego zobaczenia, miłe damy.
English girls.
English girls.
He
Likes English girls.
You okay?
Tip top, my dear.
We feel compelled to respond as if they were our own children.
Even if you struggle with the darkest of faults,
Be open to the wonders that life can offer. Especially then. To you, my dear children, L'chaim.
My friends, it's an honor to introduce someone whose dedication and leadership have ensured the legacy of the remarkable individuals we see there and so many others inspire future generations. Please join me in welcoming the chair of the 45 Aid Society, and she also just happens to be my very proud mum, Angela Cohen, MBE.
My very, very, very dear friends here tonight, when I look at some of the pictures, and there's some outside of the boys, I see faces who had endured the very worst of humanity. I see courage, hope, and a miracle of survival. One of those faces, in fact, the good-looking blonde over here, now that is my dad. To me, it's more than a photograph. It's a reminder of a little boy who lost everything, his family, his home, even his childhood. And yet, because of the kindness he found here in Windermere, he learnt how to live again. My dad, Moshe Malanitsky, was born in Pietrzykov in Poland to Hannah and Eli Melech, and they ran a small bakery. He had 5 siblings, Nathan, Sorella, Frumka, Devora, and little Miriam. He was known as the cookie boy because he used to deliver bread around the town. Life was simple and full of love, until everything changed in 1939 when the Nazis invaded. Their family was forced into the Pietrzykov ghetto, where their lives were torn apart. My father was still a child when he was separated from his parents. He endured unimaginable suffering and loss, and when the war finally ended, he discovered that all of his family, his parents, his brother, and all 5 of his sisters, including little Miriam, who was 8 years old, had been murdered in Treblinka concentration camp. He was the only one to survive. After the liberation, 732 child survivors of the Holocaust were brought to Britain to rebuild their lives. They became known as the boys, although 200 of them were actually girls. They arrived in five groups, and the first 300 came here to Windermere. My father was one of them, one of the Windermere children. When he arrived in 1945, he was a boy that had lost everything. But what he found here was extraordinary. The people of this community, many of them who had never met a Jew before, welcomed these children with open hearts. They didn't see victims. They saw children who needed love, safety, and understanding. Britain was still recovering from 6 years of war. Food was rationed, families were grieving, yet the people of Windermere still found the compassion to give hope to a group of broken young survivors. They offered them warmth, food, laughter, and kindness. They took them boating on the lake, played football, taught them English, and slowly they made them feel human again. My father used to say it was here, in this peaceful and beautiful place, that he began to believe in life again. The kindness he found here didn't just heal his body, it healed his soul. It gave him the strength to start anew, to build a family, and to believe once more in the goodness of people. Many of these young survivors went on to form the 45A Society, an organisation that became their extended family. It was created to support one another, to honour those that they'd lost, and to ensure that the lessons of the Holocaust and the example of kindness shown here in Windermere would never be forgotten. Today, the Society is proudly carried forward by their children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, continuing the work of remembrance, education, and hope for the future. As we look to that future, I'm proud to say that hopefully a new refurbished library and exhibition will soon be created here, a space that would tell the story of the Windermere children to visitors from around the world, a place of learning, reflection, and remembrance, where generations to come can understand the power of love, community, and renewal. But tonight, I really want to say something very personal. I want to thank the people of Windermere, not just for what they did, but for what it meant. Your welcome gave those children, including my dad, the chance to find hope again. You showed them that after such darkness, there could still be light, that after such cruelty, there could still be compassion. On behalf of my dad, Moishe, and all the Windermere children, I want to say thank you from the depth of my heart. You didn't just give them shelter, you gave them their dignity back. You gave them love. You gave them back their faith in humanity. And that gift, that extraordinary act of kindness, will live forever in the hearts of the boys, their children, and their great-grandchildren. It will never fade, and it will never be forgotten. Thank you.
Arik Hirsch was born R.J. Herslikovich in 1928 in Syriac, Poland, into a loving Jewish family. Following the Nazi invasion, he was arrested at just age 11 and sent to the Oktosno labor camp. The following year, most of his family were deported and murdered at the Chelmno death camp. Alone, Arik lived in the Lodz ghetto orphanage until 1944, when he was deported to Auschwitz-Birkenau to work in the fishing commando. In early 1945, he endured a death march to Buchenwald, then was transported in open wagons to Theresienstadt, where he was liberated. Only his sister Manja survived the war. In August 1945, Arik arrived in England with the Windermere Boys and stayed at the Singleton Road Hostel in Manchester. At 20, he volunteered to fight in Israel's War of Independence. Returning to Manchester, he worked as an electrician and jewellery trader, travelling across the country. In 1982, Arik married Jean. Together, they ran a lettings agency business in Leeds until retirement. Arik wrote A Detail of History, recounting his Holocaust experiences. For more than 30 years, he has dedicated himself to Holocaust education and was awarded an MBE in 2009. He supports many Holocaust projects, including National Holocaust Museum in Nottingham, the Lake District Holocaust Project in Windermere, and has shared his story across the UK, Europe, and the USA. Arik has 3 daughters, 7 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren.
That's quite a tough film to follow. My name is Trevor Avery. I'm the director of the Lake District Holocaust Project, based on the first floor of Windermere Library. Good evening, Lake School. My goodness. Firstly, I would like to thank Luke for inviting me to this amazing gathering. I've never seen this hall so full. I actually began collecting the stories of the Jewish children an unbelievable 20 years ago. But we actually began by interviewing people who had lived on Calgarth Estate. More than likely your parents, your grandparents, and even your great-grandparents. Pilots, engineers, cooks, office workers, all kinds of people connected to the Flying Boat Factory and the local community. In fact, it was someone who had lived at Calgarth, a chap named Brian Crossland, who is still with us, who first told me about, as he put it, the children from Auschwitz. The rest, as they say, is history. There are stories in our archives in Windermere that truly illustrate the special relationship between the survivors and the community that opened its heart to them. The Windermere Children film touched on those relationships, and the stories in the film, most of them came from our archives. But there are many, many stories not featured in the film drama. And it's interesting to recognise that a good percentage of stories depicted in the film actually came from local people and were then verified by the survivors themselves. For instance, my dear friend Ike Alterman recalls how he felt guilty eating tomato soup for the first time in years. In his words, the people in Calgarth didn't have much themselves. They weren't rich. And here they were standing around watching us eating this banquet of tomato soup and white bread. I set his mind at ease by telling him the truth. The Calgarth folk had actually pooled together their ration coupons so that the Jewish children could have a special treat. and that they were actually taking pleasure in seeing him and his friends polishing it off so enthusiastically. He had no need to feel guilty any longer. Then there was the mother of a teenage boy called Kevin, who used to visit her son in hospital here. One day when she visited Kevin, she found he had a new friend in the bed next to him. The new friend was Mendel, one of the Jewish children who was also very ill and didn't know any English. Without a second thought, Kevin's mother sat down on a chair between the two beds and reached out one hand to hold Kevin's hand and the other to hold on to Mendel's hand. Kevin still cries at the memory of it. And believe it or not, Kevin and Mendel are still in touch with each other over 80 years later. Kevin here in Westmoreland and Mendel in Florida. Now, I'm sure many of you will know there was a school on this site before the Lake School. But I wonder how many know this story. Miss Dixon, the head teacher of what was Calgarth School, tells the story of one of her pupils from the school winning a necklace at the annual summer gala. Miss Dixon watched on as the little Calgarth girl collected her prize, but then watched her walk straight over to one of the little Jewish girls standing nearby, and she gave her the necklace. Why? Because she has nothing. I have been associated with the Lake School for 20 years, and I know one thing, that the spirit of kindness that I've just illustrated is strong in the children at this school today. The exhibition and archives at the library, you're all welcome to visit and take a journey through time that begins in 1909 with Edward Wakefield and his Hydro aeroplanes. It passes on through the story of the Flying Boat Factory at Whitecross Bay, Calgarth Estate, and on through Droomer Estate, all the way to the present day. And the story of the 300 Jewish children is enveloped and embraced within it. This is your story, and it's a story that needs to be told more today than ever it was. Thank you.
I'd just like to say a few quick words, if that's okay, on behalf of the teachers. We are immensely proud here at the Lake School to be connected to the story of the Windermere children. Their story serves as a shining example to us all of resilience, of hope, and of the strength of the human spirit. And for us as educators, that shining example is a gift. It is a gift. Because what better way could there be to inspire today's youth than by holding up the example of yesterday's? And so it is that that's what we seek to do here at the Lake School. Day in, day out, week in, week out. But we're not content to rest on our laurels. Every one of us is very well aware of how privileged we are to be in this position and to have this connection to this inspirational story. And so we work tirelessly to improve our Holocaust education here. Tonight, for example, I'm especially pleased to be welcoming Luke Sarsens from University College London Centre for Holocaust Education. Luke, where are you? Can you give us a wave? Where is he? I've got the lights in my eyes. Lovely, lovely. Only the weekend before last, I was down in London working with Luke and other experts in Holocaust education as part of our brand new commitment to UCL's year-long Beacon School programme. Over the next 12 months, we, as a staff body, are going to be working to broaden and to deepen our teaching of this profoundly important history. But we are also equally proud to be working alongside other remarkable organisations, such as the 45 Aid Society, and especially, of course, Angela, who we heard from a moment ago, whose generosity with her time and her energy have meant so much to us in the History Department in recent years. With the Lake District Holocaust Project, with Trevor, who we've just heard from, with the Anne Frank Trust, whose representative Lucy sadly can't be with us here today, with the University of Staffordshire, who for 3 seasons came to excavate and to survey the very dormitories and the very halls in which those children's lives were reborn. And I'm very happy to have Will here from the University of Staffordshire. Where is he? Will, give us a wave. There he is, right up the back. There we go. And most recently with Regenesis and with its founder, Mark, whose generous sponsorship has made tonight's event possible. Mark, where are you? Mark? There he is. Fantastic. Regenesis is a genuinely inspirational non-profit organisation devoted to promoting tolerance and coexistence in today's Britain, and we're especially excited about working closely with you in the future. But above all, ladies and gentlemen, the people we are most proud to work with are the Windermere children themselves. And as Rob pointed out for us earlier, one of them is here in the hall with us this evening. Eric Hirsch, MBE. Give us another wave, Eric. There we go. Thank you. Eric, I cannot begin to put into words, I can't, how cherished the moments are that I have shared with you in our joint mission to educate our next generation. And neither can I put into words how treasured your visits have been for our pupils over the years. Because as I'm sure everybody in this hall will know and understand, all the textbooks, all the videos, and all the beautifully laminated resources in the world will never do for our children. What 1 minute in your company does for them. So thank you, Eric, for sharing your story, your courage, and your humanity with the Lake School. It's priceless every time you cross the threshold to share your time and your energy and your love with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now we are so pleased to welcome two esteemed guests who have strong and enduring connections to the Lake School. Please join me in welcoming Alex Scott, alumnus of the Lake School and His Majesty's Lord Lieutenant of Cumbria. We're also delighted to welcome Arthur Capstick, MBE, former head teacher of the Lake School, who's dedicated many years to guiding and inspiring generations of Lake students. We invite them both to the stage to share their reflections of their time in the school.
Wow, I have stood here before, but it was nearly 50 years ago. It's great to be back. Hello, fellow pupils. Hello, parents. Hello, grandparents. It's sort of incidental that I'm here as His Majesty's Lord Lieutenant, but I'll just tell you a bit about it for those that don't know what that means. It means that I represent the King in this county. I was born in this county, I live in this county. If all goes well, I will die in this county. So I feel really privileged to be able to have that role. But look, I'm here as a pupil, but just one of the thousands that we've heard who've passed through this remarkable place. And it's a privilege to be asked to speak on this occasion. And I'm conscious that many others, I'm sure many others of you are here now who could be doing this. So thank you for the opportunity for speaking on behalf of the alumni. But I'm not going to focus on my school days, all right? I can't remember much of it, and many elements of it I'd rather forget anyway. But I have forgotten a lot, including, apparently, there is a picture out there that informs me that the current king, Prince Charles, came here when I was at this school. I had no recollection of it. But I do remember something some of you will remember, punk rock. Yes, you can still hear that. And I did have platform shoes. And we had these things called slide rules. Some of you may even remember those. They were before calculators came along. Very exciting day, the first time the physics teacher had the first calculator in school. Yeah, I'm that old. But I want to reflect more broadly, and I'll pick up some of the themes we've already heard this evening on what makes a great local school and the lasting role schools like this play in our communities. Now, we all know that schools are places of learning, but they're also far more than that. A good school becomes an anchor of local life. It brings together families across generations, creates shared experiences, and often serves as a gathering point, like this tonight, for community life. And the culture of a school, its values, its expectations and its spirit, shapes not only its students, but the community around it. Kindness, curiosity, perseverance, and respect. These are all the values that form the character of responsible neighbours and citizens. Now, when I was here, there was a motto, integrity and service. I bet lots of you out there can remember that. I think that's a pretty good one, because for me it captures so much of what we should strive for, both as individuals and as society. Now, what a great evolution. Inspire, challenge, and empower. What would we all want a place to deliver for our children, but to inspire them, to challenge them, and to empower them? So I think it's fantastic evolution. Great schools, especially those in the state sector like this one, do more than teach. They open doors. They offer opportunity and access to all, regardless of background. They're social levelers. They can't eradicate every element of chance in a child's birth, but they are capable of equipping them, each young person, with the tools and confidence to make the most of their lives. And I've seen around this school some of the amazing things that alumni of this place have achieved. And of course, none of that is possible without the quiet excellence and deep commitment of teachers and support staff. And their core role is to educate, but their wider impact, encouraging young minds to imagine, to question, to grow, is just as profound. And their influence stretches far beyond the classroom, and probably, and I think very definitely, far beyond what these teachers can see. So thank you, past, present, and future, for the inspiration, the empowerment, and the challenge that you so skillfully deliver. Alumni of this school and schools like it carry influence with them. They bring the spirit of the school into the world through service, through care, through creativity, and through leadership. And many return, contributing once again to the local area and completing a virtuous circle of giving back. And many of you in this room are now representative of that spirit and embody this ongoing contribution to our society. I'm not going to try and trace every thread from my school days to adult life, but I do know, I really know, that the values and relationships formed here at the Lake School have been a steady foundation for me, as they have been for so many, and I'm deeply grateful for that. So, as we mark 60 years of the school, we honour not only the history, but its impact, past, present, and I'm sure into the future. So we've already done this, but let's celebrate the pupils, the staff, the community and everyone who's shaped and have been shaped by this place. And let's look ahead with pride and optimism for decades to come. Thank you very much.
Well, I must start, I think, by congratulating Miss Rainey, the governors, and in particular Luke Brown and his team for such an impressive and incredible evening. It's been and will be to its end really quite brilliant. Thank you. It's lovely to see the Lady Mayor down here. Welcome. It's great to see Alex, to have Alex, Lord Lieutenant of Cumbria, on the platform, who is a good friend of the school, particularly in relation to the building of the all-weather surface. So that's remembered and really appreciated. And to have Rob Rinder and his mum here as well. I don't quite know where I am. Is this the Lake School that I spent 15 years in? Talking about that, how many of you were here in my day? Can we just, oh wow. Well. I'm not going to be able to see all of you, am I? And I probably wouldn't remember. So you must bear with me. I've already embarrassed myself by meeting an old pupil as I came in and not knowing who he was. And he only lives down the road from me as well. So I'm sorry about that, Joe. It just takes me a little while. But it's lovely to see you all. And I'm particularly grateful that this room, this hall is so packed. That's marvelous. But we have, as a school, an amazing legacy. We've been given it. We've been entrusted with it. And that's really important that we take that seriously, and your youngsters. And I know they do, because they listened this afternoon so well when Rob and his mum and I spoke to them. It was really touching. They take this legacy seriously, and they will take it forward. I have every confidence that that will be the case. A legacy of resilience, of hope, of freedom, of inclusion, of life. Let's not forget that the youngsters that we've seen on film, we were talking about them having a new life, a life that they didn't have. And we take that for granted so often, don't we, in our circumstances. But it's just important to stop and think that that is their experience. So, we have a big responsibility in interpreting that legacy and taking it forward, carrying it forward into the future that we all share, and that we all play a part in developing and contributing to. So, the question I've been given is, what did the Lake School mean to me? Now, those of you who put your hands up, let me just say, I was the head teacher while you were here. That's just for the teachers, by the way. Sometimes they're the problem, not the pupils. So, I need your help, all of you. I want you to just close your eyes. Not yet. I'll give you the go. Just close your eyes for about 15 seconds, no more. You won't lose your handbags or your wallets, I promise you. This is the Lake School, not... Oh, no, I mustn't say that. No. So I want you to close your eyes and I want to think of one thing, one memory that you have of school. It may not be the Lakes, obviously. It may be your school, which isn't the Lakes, but just one memory when I give you the go. Okay? Understood? Understood. The girl laughing over there. Girl, that is. Okay, go. Rightio. You can wake up again now. I'm not going to ask you what's just come into your head. I couldn't do that. I wouldn't dare. It might be a visit to the head's office. They weren't all bad, but probably not worth remembering. But I'll put money on it that you don't remember period 4 on a Friday in maths. Unless, of course, you had Mr. Rhodes or Miss Hughes. You might remember that. But generally speaking, we don't remember individual lessons and subjects and things that we learned day after day after day, do we? The answer is no, we don't. So what is it that it means to us? What do we remember? What was in your mind? Well, I actually suspect that it was, for some of you at least, it was events. It was big experiences. It was things that don't come along every day. It was specials, places you went to, things you did. And those were really important and stay as important to you. And they do to me. And if I was to say, I would say, 1, I'm allowed 3, by the way, because I'm the head, or was. Sorry, Miss Rainey, I'm not the head, I was the head. 1, I remember on an outdoor ed visit to the Isle of Man when Joel was doing some outdoor activity, crossing, I think, a pretend river on some planks, and I suddenly realized that I'd better tell the instructor that Joel actually was registered blind. Because he didn't know, and actually he would never have known. And that was the beauty of what we'd managed to do. We'd included, during our time, we had embraced youngsters with special medical needs and youngsters that had difficult mobility. And they were a part of the school, and they were as important as anyone else, as were those youngsters who struggled to work, struggled to get on, would like to be anywhere but in the classroom. They were just as important as the ones that were really able and could do it. And that's really important memory to hold. Inclusion, no matter what, vital. And I remember, as I told the youngsters this afternoon when one of them asked me, I remember at a variety show just before Christmas, those awful events. When anything could happen, the stage was handed over to the youngsters. I was up there on the balcony doing what heads do, keeping an eye on everyone from above. It was a sort of godlike job that I had. And I was invited onto the stage by young Sam Thomas. Sam Thomas, you may not all remember him, a great lad, very, very accompanied, could unicycle, could juggle, could eat fire. Oh dear, when I think about it. And he invited the head so that he could lie on this floor here and be unicycled over. That would never have happened in Griff Thomas' time, would it? What do? Do I shrink away and disappear, and my street cred would drop through the floor, even further, that is? Or do I accept the invitation and come here? For better or worse, I did the latter. And Sam, lovely lad, rascal actually that he was, rascal. And you meet them, don't you? You get them all. he unicycled over the head teacher on a plank. And I'm here. I'm still here. I'm still here. No wonder I remember it. And finally, there was Stephen Hawking. And Stephen Hawking's appearance here on this stage, in this spot, has had quite a bit of social media attention. And he talked for half an hour or so through his machine, through his computer. And then he answered questions for a similar sort of time. But what you don't know is that he then went backstage with a group of sixth formers from the Lakes, science sixth formers, and a group from Lancaster. By the way, this hall was fuller then than it is tonight. I have to say it, the once and only that happened. And he talked, Stephen Hawking, who had achieved the greatest in learning, but whose body had collapsed and was broken. He talked and answered questions to those sixth formers. They will never forget it. They'll never forget it. That man knew so much, and here he was in this place talking to us. And he was talking science, cosmology, but he was demonstrating that despite his body, he could still engage. That's what life is about, and that's what learning is about. So I believe you will have remembered experiences when you thought about your education, your school. But it's not just that, and I'm quickening on now because I've got to. Otherwise I'll have Luke Brown on me. You'll have remembered people. People, teachers who taught you. And this is where it gets a bit scary for teachers. Because I'll tell you, teachers, you are remembered. For better or worse, if we think of our school days and we remember them, we remember people and who they were. And so it should be. It should be that. Because they're important. And teaching is important. And the relationship that you have with the teachers is important. Learning doesn't just take place anywhere or in any circumstance. It takes place because there's a relationship between a student and a teacher. And sometimes you don't even know who the teacher is because they're learning as well. But that's real learning. So you'll have remembered them. And I want teachers, and I hope teachers will just take stock and remember that that's their calling. That's what they're here to do. And it's a real, real privilege that that is the case. So they'll have remembered. That's what the Lake School means to me. It means experiences. It means teachers and people who I remember and value, who worked with me and were good quality. It wasn't all super. I don't want you to think that. I made mistakes. We made mistakes. Of course we did. But there were people here striving for the good of the youngsters in our care. And that's what it's about. But embedded in experience and teaching and learning are the values that we all rely on, that we bring. Those values that I started with, the values of inclusion, respect, excellence, hope, friendship, all those things that we've heard that have been given to us from the Windermere children and their story, and that we've taken forward into our day and into you're taking forward now, I'm not, into 2025 and beyond. And that's our task, ladies and gentlemen, and youngsters, to take that forward.
And further round of applause for Lord Lieutenant Alex Scott, and of course the one and the only Arthur Capstick, MBE, everybody. Oh, you stay here, yes, absolutely. We're a fabulous threesome. It's like, yeah. What's that Irish boy band? We're sort of like them, only mildly less attractive. Yeah. The remnants of Boyzone, a little bit aged. They are. But on that note, we do have some of our amazing students. We are delighted and enormously proud to welcome to the stage head boy Matthew Gibson and head girl Lucy Taylor, who together with the students of the Lake School have created something enormously special. It's a time capsule of items from 2025 that are going to be opened on the school's 100th anniversary, and they're here to tell us more.
To mark the 60th year of the Lake School, on behalf of all students, we've put together a special time capsule. Inside you'll find 60 photographs from our 60th year, recipes from Year 7 students capturing what makes a fantastic Lake School, a school tie, a PE kit, and a ticket from our recent Halloween disco, and other items representing our school life in 2025. We now ask Arthur Capstick and Alex Scott to seal the time capsule, which will be open in 40 years to celebrate the school's 100th anniversary.
In the 1940s, the Education Act set out to modernise learning across the country. Westmoreland County Council planned to merge 3 schools: Kelsick, Windermere Grammar and the Old College. At first, this faced backlash from the community, but soon it was welcomed with optimism.
Kelsick Grammar was founded in 1725 through the legacy of John Kelsick, who left his wealth to fund free education in Ambleside. The school moved sites as the community grew, opening a purpose-built home on the slopes of Wansfeld in 1908. The old school buildings are now home to Impact International, with generations of young people benefiting from its teaching and traditions.
Windermere Grammar began teaching boys in 1614, first at Brantfell before moving to a new building on Princess Road in 1885. In 1945, it became the first comprehensive school in England. Its buildings once stood where St Martin and St Mary's Primary School is today. Generations of local children studied there, and it played a big part in village life.
The Old College opened in 1853 as St Mary's College, welcoming boys including future author Arthur Ransom, who wrote Swallows and the Amazons. By 1950, it became secondary modern, focusing on practical education and pioneering. The first ever parent-teacher association. Set in beautiful surroundings, its buildings now form part of the Phoenix Centre. Inspired confidence, creativity, and community spirit for generations of pupils.
Memories? Too many. But I suppose one stands out.
An empty vessel. The unlovely building which we filled with life, mapped with our whispers, frowns, hopes and footsteps, racing or dragged along echoing corridors between classrooms, cloakrooms, stairwells.
My first memories of the Lake School were from Calgart School as it grew
Like a lava spluttering volcano of modernism, 2 fingers in the air to the old grammar school system.
My dad was the caretaker of Cargarth Primary School, so when they knocked down all the houses on our estate to build the Lake School, ours was the only one standing. I literally had to climb over our garden fence and I was in the school grounds.
I was transferred after O-levels at Kelsick Grammar School in September 1965 to start my sixth form studies at the Lake School. We were all involved as ushers and later waiters or waitresses at the grand opening by the then Secretary of State for Education, Anthony Crossland. I remember just moving up from junior school and our swimming lessons were done in the lake. Oh, so cold. But I remember the arrival of the swimming pool and it was so exciting. And what it essentially was just a large outdoor tank and it was just built behind the school. But what I do remember is there was this cold wind blowing during the swimming lessons and I don't think anyone enjoyed that.
Set runs of the Troutbeck Valley in horizontal snow and freezing rain. Most of the pupils ran in plimsolls or rugby boots. No one had a tracksuit.
Rain, hydrate me. Rain, clean my heart.
The dreadful sour tang of the changing rooms.
The chemical spice aroma of powder paint, damp paper and clotted ink.
I can remember seeing an interesting picture.
Early victories and defeats and pointless anxieties before experience gave us a sense of proportion. Thick gravy boiling up as the crust of a steak and kidney pie was first breached and portions allocated.
Slade singing about Christmas.
It was going to be my very first school disco and I was excited and so nervous. I had made an A-line, petrol blue, corduroy skirt in needlework and I was very proud of it. But how to dance? I had no idea. So I asked my mum and she had said to listen to music and swing along and I practiced in my bedroom in front of the dressing table mirror. Then, on the big night, there I was swinging awkwardly to the music, feeling so proud of my skirt in the semi-dark. It was great to hear the music and feel part of something else, some brand new, bigger world in the same school where during the day I often felt so shy and awkward.
I was in the first intake, ex-Windermere Grammar. The new head of physics was called Horsey Horrocks. Our first lesson with Horsey was a revelation. In he walks, not in a gown but a brown coat, the sort of thing you used to see worn by shopkeepers. I have looked at the curriculum for this year, he said, and we cannot possibly finish it in the time allowed. You are simply going to have to come in over the weekends. And we did. Casual clothes, no school uniform, freedom to choose sweets or whatever, even smoke.
In 1977, as part of the Queen's Silver Jubilee celebrations, Prince Charles was scheduled to make a visit to the school. All the pupils and staff were allowed to line the road opposite the Sun Hotel. Eventually he arrived, in an open-topped, vintage car, driven by a man in a deerstalker hat. He waved, smiled, and drove past. That was it. He was gone in 10 seconds.
Probably some of my happiest memories at the Lakes were playing in school bands. I was in loads of them, but this was a first. Half an hour of lunchtime punk. Punk took a while to pogo up from Manchester's Free Trade Hall to sleepy Troutbeck Bridge, so it was probably the winter of '77. We were under-rehearsed, out of tune, and the lyrics were inaudible. But the crowd seemed to like it. I was hooked for life.
Gilbert and Sullivan operas were a wonderful annual event. Mr. Griffith's coaching and the whole atmosphere of the preparation. There were some very good singers and others who were shy in school but would become a star actor or actress on the stage. Mr. Henderson sang the very fast songs and I always admired how every word was clear.
The Gilbert and Sullivan operas were a tradition brought from Windermere Grammar School. They were great fun, though the music always improved if I mimed rather than sang.
As a child, it was common to have reasons for disliking establishment and its trappings. The haste to leave and somehow move on was palpable. It's only in the years since leaving that I've come to appreciate the impact of the Lake School on my life. I salute the vision, the system, and the people that provided me with the skills and opportunities to mould a savage country boy into something a little better.
My abiding memories are of a little room and the M5 gang, a rolling group of teenage hormones, limited by how many people could cram into the 6-foot by 4-foot practice room and sit, lie and stand on a piano. Many a happy lunchtime with a peanut butter sandwich was spent in that room. I eventually married a fellow M5 gang member, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Never a natural athlete, I suppose it was strange that it should happen. After years of being picked last for every sports team I tried out for, I played for the school team at cricket. This was no acknowledgement of my skills. There were many better than me. No,
My selection recognised passion. I played twice for that school team. No wickets, no runs, 2 little ducks. Quack, quack.
Backs out.
I think the music side of the Lake School is probably my favourite part of it because there are so many different opportunities, like Miss Saigon, that was really great.
It was Mrs. Rawlinson, the music teacher, who became an inspiration at the Lakes and my inspiration in my future career as I took over from her. I have now taught at the school for 12 years and love almost every minute of it.
Sitting in the theory exam for the cookery O-level, I created my menu for the following week's practical exam, including a gazpacho soup. My mother was dispatched to purchase the ingredients. The following week I stood in the exam looking for the garlic. This was the early 80s and I had only ever seen garlic dried in a spice jar. However, I located the large bulb in the bag and decided that by default this had to be the clove of garlic that the recipe called for. So I just threw the whole bulb into the blender with the rest of the ingredients. I failed my cookery O-level.
Some of my best memories of the Lake School are of school trips.
All the teachers who came along on school camping trips have my gratitude for their patience, guidance, and for putting up with us when they could have been enjoying their own summer somewhere else.
There is a statistic that says we only remember 6% of what we are taught at school.
So wrong. So very, very wrong.
When I started the Lake School, I didn't know anyone, and straight away I was welcomed. I've had loads of friends, I've had loads of opportunities, such as the different musicals, the sporting activities, different subjects, a wide range of things we can do here, and I'll hopefully spend a great time at university, and I definitely won't forget about my time here. It's just been a great experience.
My time at the Lake School has definitely helped me develop my confidence and grow into the person I am today.
It is July 1969, beautiful summer evening, and the end of year concert. My love of Windermere and the Lake School all came together. I had been told that day by the then head teacher Griff Thomas that I had been appointed head girl for the coming year, and I stood beside the outgoing head girl in the altos of Reg Griffiths' choir, feeling proud and humble and rather emotional, and we sang The Bluebird by C.V. Stanford. It just said it all.
The Lake School.
We knew so little when we got there, but we knew a little more when we left. Memories? Too many. 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 Memories?
Beautiful. And that extraordinary, beautiful film, Across the Lake Below Hill, was produced, as you saw, by alumni Michael Cumming and narrated by both current and former students of the Lake School. Now, next tonight, friends, we're mixing it up. We're stepping back to 1965. You can do better than that. This is Cumbria. 1965! It's the year the Lake School was first opened. The doors opened to the community around us exactly 60 years ago. So please welcome to the stage the anniversary band performing from that year the classic Beatles hit, Ticket to Ride. So, friends, a little change of pace, tone, and geography. Up next, we're going to present, imagine it's a bit like the One Show, only the pivots are less strange, so we don't go from an international war to dog's pajamas. We're going to keep it here in Lake's Legacy Lives, my friend, which is a truly unique opportunity to hear from some, just some, a limited number of our remarkable individuals whose journeys were shaped by their time here at the Lake School. And tonight, I'm going to invite our panel up here. We have an award-winning director, the brilliant Michael Cumming, who I admire so much, international sports marketer Dan French, and Estee Lauder's youngest ever makeup artist, Natalie Wheeler. They'll be joined by our very own head boy, Matthew Gibson, head girl, Lucy Taylor, to share just a short number of insights, reflections, and some of their inspirations for the generations of students to come. So please join me in giving a very warm Lake School welcome to our panel for Lake's Legacy Live, everybody. Come sit next to me. Where do we begin? Everyone, come sit. Sorry. Thanks. So I'm going to start, because of that beautiful film, with you, Michael Cumming. Now, Michael, you're known for a number of just incredible, groundbreaking films and television productions. The absolutely matchless satire, Brass Eye, Toast of London, Snuffbox, and again, groundbreaking work with the so critically important, we should have it back actually, Mark Thomas product. I wonder, looking at the skill and beauty of that filmmaking, help me, how did your time here at the Lake School just shape your creativity and maybe perhaps you're interested in filmmaking?
Well, thank you, Rob. I like your stuff too as well.
Well,
I mean, the art teacher gave me a camera, and in those days, people didn't have mobile phones, or it was unusual to get hold of a camera. And, you know, people have said it all night, but all the stuff that I did here with those cameras wasn't done during lessons or anything to do with, you know, the curriculum. It was people putting in that extra effort. So yeah, I guess I got handed a camera, and then years later, when you know the chance arose to do it again, you know, I'd had a camera in my hands. I understood what it was, and yeah.
But the inspiration was born here. And talking of inspiration, Natalie, just so we get a sense of it, you were the youngest ever Estee Lauder national makeup artist at 21. And I think you're the founder of your own brand as well. It is completely extraordinary. You've achieved such success at such a young age. Again, it's not just the inspiration to pursue a career in makeup, but above all else, having the confidence to go into the world thinking and knowing that you belong in that room and that you deserve to run that business and be who you are. Help us, if you can, give us a sense of what you learned here in the Lake School that gifted you not just the talent, but the confidence to share that talent with the world.
Thank you. I think for me, it was definitely art department. I really felt like the arts departments, whether it's music, drama, and art, really lets you play. I didn't feel restricted in any way, and I was quite lucky. My homeroom was in the art department as well. Shout out Rob Hardy. Mr. Hardy.
Is Rob Hardy here?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I very much got left to my own devices, and anything I wanted to try and experiment with, I was very much left to my own devices on.
And you've had some mega clients, I think. To just share with some of who the people you've worked with and worked on.
Just to give a top line, I got the pleasure of working with Anthony Joshua for a campaign, and just a few other people as well.
Yeah, we see, we know. And on extraordinary people that alumni of the Lake School have worked with, Dan French is a leading figure in sports marketing, co-founded the global firm Clifford French in his own name. It's a UK sports management and entertainment consultancy in 2008. Just to give you a sense, as global senior vice president, as you tout 2003, some brands that you've worked with, it shows you it starts in the Lake, but the contacts go via all sorts of people. Leo Messi, Usain Bolt, Lewis Hamilton, and Rory McIlroy, just to name a few. You know, your career has taken you around the world. I wonder how being here at the Lake School has shaped and curated your ambition and the things that you've succeeded.
Well, I taught all those athletes everything they knew about sport, which was all courtesy of Steve Field. So yes, he can take credit for that as well. But I think the Lake School helped me, I suppose, realise that a career in sport was a thing. You know, when I was here, if you wanted to work in sport, you were either a greenkeeper or a lifeguard. So the Lake School was the first school in Cumbria to offer A-level PE. So that showed me that there was a career there. And that gave me the platform to go on and kind of, you know, fulfill a passion, which has always been sport. So that was kind of grounded in here, in those very kind of Cumbrian principles of working hard and being curious and resilient. I think that was what I remember being taught that a lot, that you never failed, you learned.
Yeah.
I think that were really important qualities that I took forward into my own career.
And working hard and being resilient. There's another element that lives and breathes in the school, which is somehow this kind of idea that there's a shared belief that you can kind of be whatever you want. And coming back to you, Michael, that curious sense, I was speaking to some of the pupils earlier about the idea there's no such things as lanes, that you have the power to write your own story, maybe even create your own films. You know, I wonder, you created that beautiful film we just watched, Across a Lake Below a Hill. Thinking about it in your career, what advice would you give to Lake students, perhaps, that are thinking about a career in film or television, maybe even the creative arts, that are thinking to themselves, I'm from Lake School, I wonder what I bring to the creative community and to the world?
Well, it's interesting because I failed my art O-level twice, actually. And then I went on to study at the Royal College of Art. And I think I might have been the first student from here that did that. So I suppose I would say, if at first you don't succeed, you know, have another go. But it's important to find those teachers and those students as well. I learned as much from students as I did from the teachers. You know, find those people that you sort of can connect with, and I would say make a film with them.
Yeah, which you did so beautifully. Natalie, there's been a really profound connective tissue between the survivors and the 60-year anniversary of this school. And one of the things that's really fascinating is the work that you do in the beauty industry and the legacy. It's quite clear that you're determined to leave. I wonder if you could share with us how you use this incredible platform you have and your talents and skills to inspire others in the industry that you're in, and why you do it.
I've always loved beauty, and I'm a big lover of the arts, and for me, integrity is something that is very profound for me, in making sure that you're leaving a positive impact in whatever you're doing. It doesn't have to be beauty. Beauty can get quite a bad reputation for being quite shallow and very much just based on aesthetic, but there is a lot about feeling that beauty, and beauty can be transformed into other corners of the world, so it can be quite impactful for just being integral.
But I'm right, aren't I, that when you talk about beauty, you mean it in the most inclusive way imaginable, and that's very, very much part of your mission, part, if you like, of the kind of echo that this school has come from.
100%. I actually came in year 9 here, so I came from London, and the welcome that I received at this school and felt very much, looking back at those memories, is very much sort of actually, yeah, I felt like I could actually blossom and be the person I wanted to be at this school. So I thank for that.
Wow. And Dan, you know, you work talking about integrity in an industry which isn't necessarily, sports agency, always known for its shining integrity. I know I'm a lawyer, so you get the point. But the values that are taught in the Lake School seem to sing in everybody here who's here and in the alumni. And I wonder, given the work you do, what personal qualities do you think are essential in your industry, given how competitive, how challenging, and above all else, how high profile and cutthroat it can get?
I would say, I think, I'll call it 3 C's. So I'd say curiosity. I think that ability to think for yourself, to back yourself, I think is really important. I think creativity in the ability to problem solve and whatever else. You know, problem solving is often a lost form of creativity, I think. I think that's really important. And I feel community as well. There's so many parallels that I drew in my career between team sports and business in terms of communication, collaboration, real teamwork as the essence of a community. I think they're really important values that I think I learned here, and they became my own kind of footprint for my own future.
Well, I'm going to ask you a question and let you think about it before we go to our head boy and our head girl in a moment, which is, if you've one reflection of your time here, one memory that you'd perhaps like to share and leave us with about your time, given our 60-year anniversary in the Lake School, I'd like you to share it, but just reflect on it for a moment whilst we go to first our head boy, Matthew Gibson. Matthew, you are an extraordinary student. I met you earlier. I was listening to what your ambitions are. By the way, in sport, very, very exciting. Watch this one. It's going to be a Premier manager, I suspect. I want my 10%. You know, as head boy and a local student, we've heard about this extraordinary history, the powerful history of this school. What does it mean to you to represent the Lake School in this, its 60th anniversary?
I'd probably say I'm very proud as a student of the school that we've got something here that's still standing over the 60 years to celebrate. I'd say, you know, proud is one word that is very underestimated, and we can really appreciate it.
Yeah. And head girl, Lucy Taylor, you're head girl and also, like some of the people on our stage, an incredibly creative student. How's your time here at the Lake School allowed you to, like many others, express your incredible artistic side?
Yes, there's definitely been so many ways throughout my whole journey here so far that have allowed me to be creative. Things from working with local artists, doing workshops, and even just the fact that in our art department, when you get to sixth form, we all have our own workspaces, and it really gives you that feel of sort of having your own little studio. And so we can use those spaces like any minute of the day, so it really allows you to just sort of explore your own creative journey. Yeah. Other memories I have are, in recent years, we've had a local exhibition that we've been to, and there's a school section which they hold in that, and lots of students get to have their work put in there, which is, it's been really interesting because it gives you that opportunity to sort of take your work outside of school and see it within the community. Brilliant. And get to sort of share that with not just the school and the students, but with our wider community. Yeah. Community, as we were saying before, what this school really represents. Now, last question for you, and then the last one for you, Lisa, before we come back to the rest of our panel. Matthew, this is your chance to give a message on the 60th anniversary about what you just said, why you're proud to be head boy, and what message you might have for all of us and other students.
Well, I think there's a lot of legacy behind the school. There's plenty more to leave about. As I said before, feeling proud is an understatement. One thing that I would say is, you know, be yourself. It's something that we don't say enough of, and talk about it. You know, get your plans out there. Be someone that you want to be. It's quite an achievement to do. Beautiful. Lucy?
I'd say, well, I mean, I'm so proud to have been part of this school, and I think I hope everyone else, students here, realise also how lucky they are. And it's privileged to have been part of something like this, and I think it'll definitely live on.
Thank you. Now, I said I'd leave them stewing to think about what it was they wanted to say about memory, legacy, and perhaps what it's meant to be part of this 60th anniversary. So, first I'm going to go to you, if you don't mind. Dan French. What would your message be?
My message or my memory?
And memory.
There's lots of memories. There's lots of people like Mr. Capstick, who said before that actually the memories are the people. I completely align with that. Many of the pupils and teachers are still friends here 20-odd years later, more than 25 years later since I was a pupil here. But it's no surprise. Sport was a unifying passion of mine here, and we were rather successful for a small school from Cumbria. We travelled all over the country. So I think the sport is the memories, the teamwork, the collaboration, the camaraderie, the bus rides on the way home, the parties that got cancelled. You know, that's what I remember.
Yeah. And that you've been able to make such a successful global career out of it. I'm going to ask everybody, please, to give Dan French a round of applause. And Natalie, really your memory and your message.
My memory, as you mentioned, having your own space in the art room, I had already eyed up my space even before I'd started my A-level in art, and the excitement of getting in and claiming my space, my little corner, the second you come in on the door, is definitely something. It's just having your own little corner that is my way to express myself was definitely something. And also finding out that I had won an art competition only because Mr. Hardy had entered me into one without me knowing, and finding out that I had won it was a really special moment.
And again, a career that the school, the community, and our country, frankly, can be proud of too. Everybody, Natalie Vello. Michael, you shaped here, but also College of Art. What's your memory and message?
Well, you know, the funny thing was, sitting on this stage, I was trying to think back to the last time I was on this stage, and I think it was my band that I was in was asked to play at the school disco in 1977, and this was at the height of disco, and we came on and we played sort of semi-improvised jazz fusion numbers, and everybody just froze to the spot. It was an absolute disaster. And then we came off after the first set, and I remember one of the teachers coming up to me and saying, "I don't think you should go on and play the second one." So we didn't. We went up to the pub, and the two guys that I was playing with both became exceptionally brilliant, gifted, professional musicians, made a life of it, and I've made a few things as well. So, like before, really, you know, don't let them tell you can't do it. Just get on with it and do it.
Everybody, Michael, come in. We're so proud of our extraordinary alumni here in the room, on the stage, in different counties in Cumbria, around our shared country, and indeed around the world. We commemorating the extraordinary talent of the past, but also the future. Can we please give a round of applause to our head boy, Matthew Gibson, and our head girl, Lucy Taylor. Everybody, please, a round of applause for incredible alumni.
Ladies and gents, what a night so far. I'm really sorry if you've missed your daily fix of Albert Square. Unfortunately, the Queen Vic's just closed. Lots of you tonight will have really fond memories of your teachers at school, and those people make a real difference to you. One person in the room tonight is a guy called Mike Houston, who worked here. He actually came from Windermere Grammar School, and we anticipate, I don't want to add years to him, he's actually one of the oldest surviving teachers in the room. So a round of applause for Mike Houston. As we continue our celebrations, the next part of the evening turns to the future of the Lake School. It's my pleasure to invite the Chair of Governors, Bill Smith, to the stage to share the vision for the school's future.
Thank you, Luke. From the presentations we've received this evening, there can be little doubt that the Lake School and the site upon which we sit possess a heritage that has impacted on the lives of not just the children that have been through the school in all these years, but the far wider community. And it has been doing that for the last 60 years at the school, but the site itself, as we've heard tonight, playing a role in the development of the school and its ethos for 20 years before. Over the last decade, the knowledge of that unique heritage has increasingly been embraced by the school itself. And the governing body has recognised that guardianship of that history is one that needs to sit alongside our responsibility for ensuring that the vision, ethos, and strategic direction of the school is clearly defined. One major vision that we do have is to ensure that the Lake School continues to serve our community for a further 60 years and hopefully well beyond. However, that vision is materially challenged by the age of a 60-year-old school. It is and has suited its purpose very well for the last 60 years. But it was a school built to accommodate a far larger student population than analysis shows is going to be available to us in the future. It costs us still to heat and operate and maintain the much larger school than the school capacity now delivers. Recent years has seen recognition of that challenge by an ever-increasing number of friends of the school, both from within our local community and from those connected to its heritage. Emerging from these discussions has been a vision for a redeveloped school. We've heard that mentioned slightly tonight. A new school campus, a development that we believe could be undertaken in a phased manner so as not to disrupt the education of those that are at the school at the time. Turning these discussions into reality has taken a major step forward thanks to the recent production of a concept document commissioned for us by our friends at the 45 Aid Society. That document helps us to better visualise what a new school could look like, and I'm pleased to be able to provide you with a little preview of what our thoughts are considering. This reimagined and redeveloped school on this site would materially enhance our educational offering into the future. Whilst maintaining our ethos of be inspired, feel challenged, become empowered, it would also encompass the defining values of those that arrived within our community in 1945. And through a remodeled curriculum, seek to better develop empathetic and civically minded young citizens, including bespoke facilities for sixth form, special needs and alternative provision. It would also provide outstanding sporting and cultural facilities available for public use out of school hours. This new school would provide a beacon of educational excellence within our community and undoubtedly become the school of choice in this area. This is a challenging vision, one very difficult to deliver, but with particular thanks to the ongoing efforts of Tim Farron, Angie Cohen, families directed associated with the Windermere children, the 45 Aid Society itself, Brian Scowcroft and our local education authority, this unique partnership driven opportunity for material investment in education within the Lake District National Park, what is, after all, a World Heritage Centre recognised by UNESCO, is seriously recognised. It is necessary. We believe it is imperative that the education, secondary education in this community continues to be delivered at the Lake School, in a school that continues to be fit for delivering education in the 21st century. Tim Farron is rigorously pursuing that with government in London, and the friends that we have on the increasing network of people becoming aware of what it is that we're trying to achieve is working on all our behalves to try and develop that vision into reality. Tonight has shown what the school is capable of delivering. It has shown what the heritage of the school plays into the school's everyday delivery of education. And we are all looking forward to the school certainly being here when it opens the time capsule in 40 years, but hopefully within its new school grounds, and that for the rest of the 21st century with a little bit of luck. Thank you all.
So we're coming towards our shared end, but it's also a beginning, because we've celebrated tonight the rich history and vibrant present of the Lake School. We now turn our eyes to our shared future. The generations of students who are yet to come here come to carry out our values, our spirit, and the legacy moving forward, ensuring that it continues to thrive just as it does today, and to honor this exceptional, historic, beautiful vision, and to mark 60 years of learning and community. It is my great pleasure to introduce the anniversary choir who will perform for us this evening. And friends, they're over there. Everybody, our heartfelt thanks to the students from all of the primary schools: Ambleside Church of England Primary School, Crossway Church of England Primary School, Langdale Church of England School, St Cuthbert's Catholic Primary School, St Martin's and St Mary's Church of England Primary School, Staveley Church of England Primary School, and of course, our very own Lake School students. Give it up, everybody!
Ladies and gents, we owe one massive thank you to our host this evening. A huge round of applause for Rob Rinder, MBE. On behalf of the Lake School, we'd like to extend our heartfelt thanks to all the students and staff who have worked really hard to make tonight possible. But most importantly, I'd like to thank you, our community, who have helped shape the Lake School over the last 60 years. Good night and God bless.